Hello students, welcome back to the second lecture. We'll be discussing how this dual nature of radiation, what were the observations and how the theory on this dual nature was developed. Here, uh, if you see the first time, okay, the discovery of this photoelectric effect, okay, which we'll be discussing, it was done by Heinrich Hertz. It was around the year around 1885, around that time. Okay, so almost maybe 120, 35 years back. Okay, so in his observation, right? So well, actually, he was not directly studying photoelectric effect. He had a separate setup in which he was trying to develop different types of radiations of different frequencies. And his experimental setup was something like this. This is just for the information what exactly he was doing. Now, in his experiment, what he had was an induction coil, and this coil has a spark gap. So, depending on the what is the voltage produced, here you can create different sparks, and then this is a collector metal loop where again you will get a spark over here. So this was how he was basically studying this experiment, and he saw that so he was just observing this spark over here, and he saw that certain very interesting things which were seen by him, or was this that when he enclosed the receiver in a dark box, okay, he observed that the intensity of the spark which was being produced over here, okay, this intensity of this spark was getting a bit diminished when the same experiment he was doing in a dark box, and then when the same experiment he was doing in the presence of ultraviolet rays, okay, he saw that the intensity was increasing. And then what a simple thing what he concluded was there must be something that the light is doing, or this ultraviolet radiation when it falls on this particular setup. As you can see, this was the setup. So in this setup, if the same setup was in a dark box, what was observed was that the spark which was there here, the spark will be coming over here, this spark, this was getting diminished. And when the same experiment is done under what you call it as ultraviolet radiation, he saw that the spark was a bit more brighter. Then uh, the complete setup he used quartz, and when he used quartz he saw that spark was okay. And when he used this mercury vapor lamp, basically mercury vapor lamp, it basically emits ultraviolet radiation, he saw that the sparking was increased. So this simple observation says that light is doing something on the metal surfaces. Which was the metal surface over here? This was the metal surface over here. And then, of course, he did not further go into the experiment, but this was the first time that he said, or he said that he just named it as what you call it as photoelectric effect. Of course, later on he did not further study into it in more detail, but we say that the discovery of this photoelectric effect was done by Heinrich Hertz around the year 1887. Then his then two persons, one was Philip Lenard and other was Wilhelm Helmholtz. These were the two persons who further studied this photoelectricity in a more systematic way. And in their setup, okay, uh, so this is the basic setup as per this NCRT book, which you will have to remember this setup. So in this setup, you have this evacuated glass tube over here, and you have this small window, quartz window. Quartz basically it allows the ultraviolet radiations to pass through it, okay, and then S is the source over here. It falls on this color, the cathode, which we say, of course, this is the emitter plate, which we'll call, and here A will be called as the collector plate. And so what basically the idea is that the light radiations will fall on this plate over here, and then it will be starting emitting the electrons. The electrons will be collected by this plate A. Now A can be this commutator over here, which you can see this commutator over here. This commutator is basically like you can reverse the potential of this plate A. You can make the plate A positive. So if you make the plate A positive, electrons will be pulled towards it. If you make the plate A negative, so electrons will basically be repelled. So this has to be understood. This is a very important thing, that the collector plate, that is collector plate A, it can be made both positive as well as it can be made which one, negative. So if it is made negative, then what will happen? These electrons which are coming over here, they will basically be repelled, right? And then voltmeter, ammeter. So microammeter, it will tell us the photo current which will be coming through this. And then you have a voltmeter, then you have a rheostat, and then this is the supply of voltage. So this was the basic experimental setup, which you'll have to remember for examination point of view also, that they may ask the question, right, for 2 marks. What is the basic experimental setup for photoelectric emission? And then this is the diagram which you'll have to basically remember. So in simple ways, that you make the light fall on it, then electrons are emitted. Now this is a photosensitive material, so electrons will be emitted, that will be connected by anode, and here you have this ammeter, voltmeter is there. So if I want to change the voltmeter, the thing is that rheostat. So presently we are not yet conducted any practicals. So idea about rheostat, you'll understand that rheostat is a device which basically increases the voltage or decreases the voltage. Ammeter will tell us whether photo current is there, that if when the electrons reach this plate, collector plate, and then they start moving over here, then this automatically this ammeter is going to deflect, right? So what was this Lenard's observation? So a very important question in examination is asked, that what is Lenard's observation, and what is the basic thing he saw, that when ultraviolet rays, okay, fall on the metal surface, photocurrent was seen. Okay, we should understand here, you are not at all, actually when you do the experiment, you will never be able to see these electrons here. Okay, so what was Lenard's observation was, ultraviolet rays, when they fall on this metal plate, there was a photo electrons, and when you stop the ultraviolet rays, the photo current which we see here. So actually you are only measuring which one, photocurrent. You actually, nobody can see the photo electrons. So how do we come to know that photo electrons are there? By seeing this ammeter reading, microammeter reading. So what was Lenard's observation was, that when these electrons they reach the plate A, right, automatically there will be a deflection in this ammeter. Ammeter basically is a device which will tell us the current. So he saw that if the ultraviolet rays are cut off, then you don't see any deflection in this ammeter. We'll have a simulation on this also. And then the if I just further continue this, the next observation was done by Halvax. So what was Lenard's observation? If you see what was Lenard's observation, he saw that when light falls on the metal plate, then only electrons are emitted, right? If you just don't allow the electrons to fall or light to fall on it, electrons will not be emitted. Then Halvax's observation was, he took zinc plate. Okay, and now here you have this, already in the topic electric charge. Okay, we have seen an electroscope. What is an electroscope? It's a device which tells us whether an object is charged or no. So what he did was, he took this zinc plate over here, right, and he made this ultraviolet rays fall on it. First he took a simple red color ray. That was a Halvax observation. So simple red color ray, it wasn't giving any deflection, because as per his experiment, it was not giving any deflection. The moment he put this ultraviolet rays on a positive plate, right, he was seeing that the positivity was increasing, and you can see here there was a small deflection over here. So what was the main observation here is, in case of zinc plate especially, that if I take a positive zinc plate and make ultraviolet fall on it, it became more positive. Please remember this word, that if I take a positive zinc plate, make ultraviolet rays fall on it, it was becoming more positive. And if I take a negative zinc plate and make ultraviolet fall on it, it was becoming less negative. In the sense, less negativity means more electrons are coming out. If the electrons come out, what will happen? Negativity will become less and positivity will increase. And during this time, we should remember here we are talking about 120 years back. During this time, electrons were developed, were discovered, and then these two things were connected. That surely some negative charge particles are coming out whenever light falls on it, on any metal surface. Negative particles come out, and then it was slowly concluded that electrons are the things which are being ejected when light basically falls on it. Okay, so as you can see here, Halberg's opposition, that negative zinc plate lost its charge while a positive metal plate became more and more positive, right? And during the same time, as you can see, the electrons were discovered. Then what are these photosensitive substances? A simple thing that normally if you see metals like zinc, cadmium, magnesium and all, they show photoelectric effect only if the light is having radiations which are ultraviolet radiation. Now as we discussed earlier itself, that ultraviolet radiations are radiations having very high frequency, so that means their photons energy are very very high. So if I want photoelectrons to come out from metals like zinc, cadmium, magnesium, I should have which type of radiations? Ultraviolet rays. But if I want to have photoelectric from simple metal like sodium, potassium, cesium, then even visible light also will give photoelectric emission in case of these type of metals, that alkali metals we call, that is sodium, potassium, cesium, and the visible light, right? So now, what were the observations in this photoelectric effect? This is what we'll be discussing. So first thing, as in the observations which you must know, is that for every metal surface you will have a minimum frequency below which there won't be any photoelectric emission. For every metal surface there is a minimum frequency below which photoelectric emission doesn't take place, and that frequency we call it as threshold frequency. So a simple simulation, I'll just show you a simple simulation that uh, say for example, here I have made a simple or we have a simple what do you call it as simulation. What it shows, the same setup. Okay, now what is the setup here? Radiations are falling on this photosensitive substance. Electrons are being emitted, that is being collected by this plate over here. Okay, and emitter readings are there, and you have this potential of this plate, right? Now for sodium, I am using light of wavelength 400, 500 frequency, and already we discussed that if wavelength increases, frequency decreases, and if wavelength decreases, frequency basically increases. So higher frequency, as you can see over here, higher the frequency, higher is the photon energy. Now just see what happens here. As I start decreasing this frequency, can you see over here that if I have decreased the frequency, see maybe somewhere here at this particular point, not a single electron is coming out. So this frequency where not a single electron, or the minimum frequency, now above this, just see over here what happens above this. See here at a particular point here, you can see that electrons are being basically ejected from the surface. If I go to any higher frequency, can you see this point here? As if I go to any higher frequency, electrons are emitted, but if I go below a certain frequency, see here, if the frequency is decreased, do you see not a single electron comes out? So what this basically means that for any metal surface, like if I just show you, like if I take an example of, say we'll take another example, say copper. If I take, okay, so copper, if I just see here that I'm just increasing the frequency here, almost not a single electron comes out. Now at this point you can just see what a high frequency is required for which one? Copper. So below this, whatever is the frequency I give, not a single electron comes out. And see another very important thing, this is the photon density over here. Photon density is basically how much intensity of light I am making it fall. See, if I increase the intensity, it doesn't make any difference. So very important thing is the frequency. If I take a simple earlier metal, see if I take this say magnesium will take, okay, so magnesium, just here, this is somewhere around this threshold frequency I am going. So at this point the electrons are coming out. See here what happens if I decrease the intensity. Just see the emitter reading. As I increase the intensity of light, the emitter reading goes on increasing, and if I start decreasing the intensity of light, the emitter reading goes on decreasing. So this basically tells us that the intensity of light, okay, photocurrent, this photocurrent which is shown by this emitter, photocurrent is direct, that it basically depends on this intensity. So as I increase the intensity, can you see this photocurrent value, this photocurrent value continuously goes on increasing, and if I decrease it, photocurrent goes on decreasing. So uh, if I just go back to this our observations, that there is a minimum energy or frequency required below which no photoelectrons are emitted, and this minimum frequency is known as threshold frequency, given by this symbol, that is mu naught. Okay, and what we observed here was, if I increase the intensity of light, okay, so how I was increasing the intensity of light, can you see this, how I was increasing the intensity of light by this. Okay, so if I start increasing the intensity of light, you can see more and more number of photoelectrons come out, and you can see here the emitter is showing a increased reading. So two very important observations which uh, we will which are very much conclusive here is that for photoelectric emission to take place, the first important thing is that there should be some minimum frequency, and that minimum frequency is known as threshold frequency. This threshold frequency varies from metal to metal. Alkali metals, for every different metal it's different. And then the work function. Now what is this work function? The minimum energy required to liberate the electron from the surface of a metal is basically known as work function, given by W is equal to H mu naught. Then the next important thing, second observation, which you'll have to plot a graph here, which shows that as I increase the intensity of light, the photoelectric current goes on increasing. It implies photoelectrons liberated are directly proportional to intensity. So this is a very important deduction here. Okay, so these 2 points are very important in this particular observation. So we'll stop here. We'll go further in the next video. We'll see the other two observations made in photoelectric emission.